Hey there, welcome to One Take, powered by backers. Right?
No judging.
Yeah.
No judging.
The millennials are really changing that.
Is charm. No.
All success begins with desire.
I feel like I'm on fire right now.
OMG, baby, tell them.
Hey there, welcome to One Take, powered by backers. Justin Fox, Shay Tuff, Samir Hamadash, and Michael Crowley. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
This is a sort of a change from the typical One Take where it'd be just me and a guest. Today it's sort of a special, issuer or offering because Shay and Samir are with Forest City Synbio, FCSB, and you guys are currently in the midst of a raise, an offering or listing, whatever you want to call it, on the backers platform. So far, in about a week, you've raised, I think, close to 75,000, about 3/4 of the way to your target. So pretty exciting from about 45 investors. So pretty exciting. Another week or so to go. Hopefully we double up that, maybe get to 150, 200,000, about 100,000 over your expected target. So guys, I'll start out with, I'm going to go with Shay. I'll do a round. Sort of, I don't know how you guys see it, but Shay's to my I guess left on camera, but anyway, Shay, what's it been like as an entrepreneur? You're a first-time sort of entrepreneur, first-time founder. What's the process been like in your own words? What's it been like the past, call it 12-month whirlwind tour?
Oh, what's the process of being an entrepreneur? I mean, you're an entrepreneur. It's insane. It's chaotic all the time.
Right.
But it's also been great because we've planned for City Symbio for so long, and there's been so many awesome mentors, advisors, stakeholders that have been working with us throughout this whole process, that now that we're kind of like tire hits the road, going more public with what our plans are, opening up our first crowdfund portal, it kind of just feels like all of the pieces are coming together and synergizing. So it's much less chaotic and more just like, we've done the hard work. Now we're here to kind of watch all our hard work come to fruition. So from that side of things, it's been awesome. If you asked me 2 weeks ago, I might have said it's a little chaotic, but I feel like we're all learning as we go, and we're just like super, I'd say, overwhelmed with how positive the response has been so far. Awesome. And so I know you guys were on, was it CBC this morning or the radio? Was it? How did that go? So I saw your article in the London Free Press. You guys are obviously partnered with the Western Fair. City of London. I know you had other meetings with a lot of other stakeholders, and you said, the reception's been amazing. For those that are starting out, and like you just said, there's a lot of bumps. There's definitely, like you said, we're all sort of entrepreneurs here, we've all been in the space. What would you say is sort of like what's kept you going throughout the maybe? Is it just that there's no other choice, or like what is it that's kind of kept you going through when maybe it seemed? Yeah, I mean, if this question's still for me, it's of course. We believe in our mission so much. Like, I genuinely believe that there isn't a problem in the world right now that Symbio can't solve. And so when you believe something like that and you know the power of the technology, and COVID is part of that too, like you can now see mRNA vaccines and you can see that biotechnology saved the world. Like everybody has mRNA being shot into their arm right now in order to make sure that like everybody's safe and healthy. And I feel like that's just one problem. And when you think about all the other problems that Symbio can solve, it's really easy to wake up in the morning to be like, if we're going to have one small part in putting all of these new technologies into a commercial viable way that will actually support more of a sustainable economy, planet Earth, then like it's easy to get up in the morning. I mean, that's what our vision is, that entrepreneurs will change the world for the better, much like you guys think more in a very specific kind of area around life sciences and genetics and Symbio, right? I'll jump to Samir then. Samir, that's interesting. Shay kind of touched on it. Michael wanted to lead in with that sort of talking about, everyone now knows 6 months ago, mRNA, I think both of us talked about, or I talked with each of you individually on each of our sort of one-on-one shows about sort of that transition of
that term mRNA, no one had a clue what it meant. So Samir, like, what gets you up in the morning? Shay just kind of maybe, I guess, gave it away a little bit, but what gets you up in the morning knowing what you guys are doing can play potentially a significant role in the future of humanity?
Yeah. She definitely hit the nail on the head there. It's really the vision that we believe in so strongly. It's what got us into this in the first place, and it's what keeps us going. And I think to add on to that, it's also the people around us, working with people like you guys and people like our coach, our advisors, our team, and just sort of seeing that shared passion, that shared faith in power of what we're doing. And that's fulfilling enough on its own, no matter where this project ends up.
Cool. I'll go back to sort of the first question I asked Shay. I'll ask it of you as well, Samir. I think you were sort of, you actually kind of brought Shay in. So what, right, at some point that was kind of, so what, I think you've been kind of maybe working on this potentially the longest. Like what was it like at the very, very beginning when nobody, like what was that spark where you're like, hey, you know what, I'm going to start an accelerator for, SynBio, what, like where, because I know your story a bit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that story, how you got sort of to where you are today?
Yeah, well, to be totally frank, it was pretty stressful. It was definitely overwhelming to have such a seemingly crazy and ambitious goal and being the only one sort of working on it. But very quickly, I got a lot of advisors who were very supportive and encouraging, and telling me that you're not crazy, you can do this, and we're here to help. And that's really what fueled me and kept me going. And having great friends as well in my personal life who also sort of were supportive and encouraging. But yeah, it sort of, the spark came from sort of the intellectual interest in biotech, SynBio, and being very fascinated by the power of being able to design and engineer life, and my passion for entrepreneurship, my interest in the concept of sort of paving your own path, taking an innovation and using it to create value, and recognizing that in Canada, there's just so many great, talented, ambitious entrepreneurs, great ideas. Right. And just if there was somewhere that they can go to find all of the supports that they needed, something like a Y Combinator for biotech. I didn't know about IndieBio at the time, but I quickly learned about IndieBio, and that's what we're kind of emulating and trying to make that version for Canada. Okay. Yeah, it's been a pretty fun journey.
Awesome. So, okay, I'm going to ask both of you. I'll go back to Shay first. So I think a question was brought up, I heard, and I think you guys have answered it a little bit in the past, but what is your background? Like, obviously you guys just didn't be like, hey, this sounds kind of cool. Like I've got a communications degree. I'm going to go try and start a, accelerator in, biotech and synthetic biology. Like what is your degree in, what did you study at Western, obviously University of Western? What did you study? And then Samir, tell us a little bit about your education as well. Because you're not just pretty faces. You're not just the cool shirt pose, right? With Samir sort of and Shay in the background, right? Tell us a little bit about your education and where you guys kind of came with this idea as well.
Yeah, my background's in genetics, so I did my undergraduate degree at Western in genetics, and then I went back for a management degree in clinical trials management. So that was more on the understanding like operations, and lasted anything from just like pharma consulting to actually managing like 30,000 patient clinical trials. So like my expertise is more in the operational side. I like processes, I like putting all the pieces together. That's kind of where my bread and butter is from that. But Samir and I met founding the iGEM team at Western as well, which is the International Genetically Engineered Machine Team. It's a mouthful.
Say that 10 times fast, right?
Yeah, that's where we met and where our passions aligned, and kind of more on the bringing a team together around synthetic biology, also for the iGEM project, and just making sure that there's, I guess, resources for these types of projects. But I'll let Samir explain his educational background as well.
Yeah, pretty much the same. I did a little more biochemistry, and then I went into graduate school in biochemistry. My research was focused on making these things called organelles. People know mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell. We were making synthetic versions of that with the goal of trying to make one that can take atmospheric nitrogen and turn it into fertilizer. so that we don't need to apply chemical fertilizers. But now, and I've sort of taken a leave of absence that's quickly becoming dropping out of grad school, and I'm trying to follow in Mike's footsteps and go into biotech commercialization and investing.
Interesting. Cool. Transition into Michael Crowley, who's on mute, just so we can hear you. So Michael, again, welcome to the show. Obviously, we work together very closely with Backers and 108 Securities. So Michael, you are the president of 108 Securities, CFO, co-founder of Backers as well. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the process that you've kind of gone through and helping out with Samir and Shay and all of the companies that you kind of have worked with over the years, and where you see what they're doing kind of fit in?
Well, I think times have changed a bit, and some of the enabling technologies to be able to go from A to B are accelerating the process. And in my case, I've worked with people on the science side that have been working in academic institutions and outside of academic institutions. And I think the institutions themselves have become more acclimatized to the commercialization of technology. And I think it's a more fluid process in the transfer of scientific knowledge into the commercial marketplace. So in the case of Shay and Samir, they've got academic backgrounds and they've worked within the institutions. They know all the academic leaders in the areas that they want to ultimately commercially exploit. The institutions are all very sophisticated now in their ability to transition important innovations out of the lab and into the marketplace. And there's a fair number of precedents that make the transfer easier. I mean, you're not negotiating one person's at 10 and the other person's at 1. I think they both come in at a pretty reasonable zone, with the expectation that it's going to take a lot of time, money, and effort to create a commercial product, and that the institution, will get a piece of and the founding scientists in the institutions will get some economic interest in it. But it takes a lot of expertise and passion and capital to take it over the finish line. So for the Ontario community, I think we're lucky to have a group like this. I know some people in this space that I think will help bring these guys through the goalposts of commercializing this. And we've got a really strong financial ecosystem, I think, with the venture community. And I think at this point now, 30 years after almost 25 years since the genome was first sequenced, to now having commercial exploited opportunities, and a whole group of people have been educated in understanding how to evaluate the risks and be able to invest in these types of opportunities now. So with the Backers platform, people that would understand the ultimate science now have a vehicle or a platform that they can participate in the next biogen or whatever these companies that they start are instrumental in supporting. So right. Very exciting.
Cool. So let's jump into that. What is let's talk about FCSB. Let's go to the next step. So obviously you guys have launched your offering on Backers. Go check it out on your site. You guys have links. Check it out on your social to the offering. Like I said, I just actually got a notification while we were literally mid-chat. Another investor just jumped on. Maybe they're watching, who knows? Although this technically isn't live, so they're not watching. So anyways, so it's actually virtually impossible for them to be watching. But that being said, tell us about what FCSB is. We talked a little bit about your backgrounds and obviously the entrepreneurial journey, but what is, I'll start with you, Samir, and then Shay. We'll kind of go the opposite way this time. Tell us a little bit about what FCSB, Forest City SynBio, is, and what it hopes to kind of accomplish. I mean, Michael kind of alluded to some things, we've all kind of alluded to some things, but what exactly is it? Like if somebody's coming to your site or a prospective investor and or prospective, company or scientist, whatever you want to call them, geneticist, what exactly is FCSB?
So we're building a startup accelerator. So starting off with the infrastructure, we're building out a 7,000 square foot co-working lab, co-working office space that's going to house up to 24 early stage synthetic biology or related technology. We're not exclusive to SynBio. There's some people doing some software stuff, some manufacturing, 3D printing stuff, but essentially in the health science, life sciences, focused specifically on agri-food, or at least primarily. But anyways, we're creating this incubator facility that's going to house these teams. And then ultimately, we're going to build out an investment fund to invest in those companies. So our business model revolves around our success being intrinsically tied to those companies' success through an equity stake. And our vision is to turn London, Ontario, or the Forest City, into Canada's hub for synthetic biology entrepreneurs, synthetic biology business. It's really what Canada needs right now, where we have great talent, great innovation, great research pipelines, but there isn't really that mecca where people can flock to bring their ideas, take their startup, and find all the support and the ecosystem they need to grow.
Okay, interesting. I'll go to you, Shay. Do you have anything you wanted to add to that or thoughts? I kind of have another question, but no, you're good.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. One of the things that I've thought about, and you just mentioned it, you talk about sort of like the technology hub might have been 10, 15 years ago, kind of like Waterloo, right? You've got kind of RIM, research in motion, for those BlackBerry, you've got kind of that was sort of the early tech development software. So you envision it kind of being like that in London. Do you see this, and this is for you, Shay, like where do you see this going if they all successful in, let's say, the next 3 to 5 years? Do you see there being sort of FCSB kind of clones or spin-offs, throughout London or maybe into other cities? Or like, where do you sort of see that kind of long-term potential growth? I think you mentioned, was it Life something in the US, I would assume, that you're kind of emulating, or that you've kind of found out that you're emulating? Like, where do you see that, Shay? What are your thoughts on sort of the grandiose vision?
Yeah, I think we've definitely been approached and talked about the potential to expand beyond the London area. Right. I think that London is the best place to start for multiple reasons of economic outputs, of the agricultural hub, of basically the incentives aligned from the City of London. There's a lot of reasons why London is the best place to start. Right. But I definitely think from the demand of the startups and from the rapidly growing industry in itself in synthetic biology, there's going to be opportunity to support more than just the 24 startups that are in our facility, right? So the goal is to incubate and accelerate up to 100 startups in the next 5 years. So whether that be strictly in our one facility, or we've talked to different provinces across Canada to create kind of FCSB Calgary, FCSB Alberta, there's opportunities to expand beyond just London. Obviously though, we're walking before we can run. So we definitely definitely need to validate basically our ability to have some successes early on and to support these startups in the way that they need to. These startups need an army behind them, right? Like they need so much support to just get off the ground to start. So once we can basically optimize our process in supporting the startups and get the support from other models that exist right now and those mentors and advisors and whatnot, then we'll be able to expand beyond just the London area. Cool.
So that leads to another question. So two questions. How many you mentioned that you've had pretty good response from sort of the startups, if you will. How many have sort of reached out? And if somebody's looking to reach out, where should they go?
Yeah,
that's for you to shamelessly plug your sites and social and all of that. There you go.
Yeah, no, we've had great response from startups. It's a global application, so anyone in the world can apply.
Okay.
We've had great response so far of startups that are interested in applying, and there's two routes that they can go. They can go an incubator where it's rent a bench, or they can go through the accelerator, and that's where the seed fund comes in, and they get the 4 months the full program. And you can find our application is currently live on our website. So that's just FCSB.ca, and you can go to the innovators page, and you can fill out the application there, where our business development reps will be happy to have a discovery conversation with you to just discuss, like, what's your idea? Would you be a good fit for us? Would we be a good fit for you? Those are all the processes that we're going through right now. And it's been really pretty exciting, because SynBio is just like such an exciting field that every time you see a new startup come through, it like piques our interest and reminds us why we're in this in the first place.
Right. Everyone's doing kind of cool things. Yeah, it's kind of exciting to see what they're up to. And so the FCSB.ca, how about social? Can they find you guys on Facebook? I'm going to push this again. TikTok?
We're not on TikTok yet.
I want to see you guys in those t-shirts, your first TikTok, doing something. I don't know what it is, but yeah. No,
yeah, well, we do have socials. We do have socials, but not TikTok yet. We're on Facebook.
Okay.
We're on Facebook at forestcitysynbio.ca, Forest City Synbio, as well as Instagram at Forest City Synbio, and Twitter at FC_Synbio.
Okay, cool. And I guess I'll go back to kind of what Michael talked about a little bit before we jumped on air. I'll throw this out as kind of the last question. Do either of you want to take the question of, is mRNA vaccines, or are mRNA vaccines safe? Does anyone want to take that question?
I mean, I'll just say that I don't have the credentials to answer that with any authority, but from the little I understand about science, I don't see why not. I mean, it's the same, ultimately it's the same effect as what traditional vaccines have been doing, and they're proven to be effective and safe, and none of that conspiratorial risk that you would hear about on Facebook.
Right.
But what's interesting to point out here is that it really is a synthetic biology success story.
Right.
Both in terms of the approach, the mRNA-based approach to creating vaccines, which made them a lot faster in production, as well as just sort of the research that went into getting to that point, being able to synthesize the virus rather than having to isolate it and culture it. Yeah. Right. And lastly, the manufacturing process is also, it's sort of the bread and butter of the biomanufacturing killer app of SynBio, so to speak. Right. The way that it's being manufactured, sort of in vitro ferment or biomanufacturing approach, is very much a SynBio driven industry.
So it's literally like a success story about what you guys are doing, right? It's literally like the poster child almost for what you guys are doing. Awesome. Well, guys, Michael, Samir, Shay, I really appreciate you guys joining me here today. Do you guys have any last words? Anything? Where can they? So FCSB.ca is obviously where they can check out the link to the offering as well. All of that's on your sites, on social. Follow you guys on LinkedIn. Obviously, check out backers.ca. If you are looking to raise capital for your startup, you can join us, or you can go there through FCSB, maybe get funneled down through the backers eventually as well. So guys, really appreciate it. Good luck in your next week. I think 200, 250, let's maybe 500 to the moon. We're going to do a little, yeah. All right, cool. Awesome, guys.
Thank you.
Very nice. Yeah, thank you. Everyone else,
thanks,
this is One Take, powered by Backers. I will see you guys again very soon.
Hey there, welcome to One Take, powered by Backers.
Right? No judging.
Yeah.
No judging.
The millennials are really changing that.
Is charm. No.
All success begins with desire.
I feel like I'm on fire right now.
OMG, baby.